Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to my friend from New Mexico, I'm going to give the Secretary a chance to talk about that economy. And so I'm going to start with and hopefully it's a little closer so you can see it, sir, a slide from the Federal Reserve economic data chart. And what this is civilian unemployment since 1970, and I've circled the last few years in terms of job losses in 2008, coupled with job gains since then. Would you care to comment? And I also have, this is for the United States as a whole, I have another slide, Mr. Secretary, that is for Colorado, where we suffered the same as the United States generally, where our unemployment went sky high in 8, 9, started coming down under the Obama administration, and is now down to about 3.5% or 4%. So, Mr. Secretary, would you like to comment on job growth?
Thank you, Congressman, and I do appreciate the chance to comment because undoubtedly there are economic statistics that go up and down month to month. There's a variety of them. There's no denying the trend of the U.S. economy over this last year has been very strong growth. For several years, been strong employment growth. You compare the United States to Europe or to other parts of the world, we're growing better and we're creating more jobs than most of the developed world put together.
All right.
Now, I think if you ask the question of why, I believe it's because, as I said earlier, we have a flexible and resilient people, and we responded with policy that worked. And I realize that policy has not always been something there's been unanimous opinion about. I don't think the results are subject to question. We are in a better place now.
Let me give you another slide from Fred. And this is Dow Jones since 2005, and it shows a steady increase up to 18,000 from a low point of about 6,000 in 2008, early 2009. You want to comment on that?
Well, obviously, there's been a recovery in our financial markets where the losses from the Great Recession have been reversed. And if you look at the trend, the picture you just showed, people had their retirement savings restored. Investors got back what they lost. We've seen in housing that property values are starting to come back up. There are still areas where it's not fully there. Where we've seen a problem is that income growth has been slow to come back. The last year we've seen about 2% growth in wages. That's good, but we'd like to see more. We're starting to see some pressure on wage growth, which is a good thing. For those of us who came of age in the 70s and 80s, rooting for inflation does not feel like a natural thing. But too low inflation is not a good thing. I mean, everyone is now shooting to get to 2%, and 2% is hard to achieve.
All right, let me give you one more slide. And this one is on 30-year conventional mortgages, which have seen a continual decline to the benefit of homeowners who are in a position to take advantage of them, down to about 3% or 3.5%.
There's no doubt that the affordability of mortgage finance has stayed very much within reach in terms of historical standards. The challenge, as we were discussing a bit earlier, is that the process of qualifying for a mortgage has been too challenging for some.
Let me change the subject.
The good news is that it's still a market where mortgage financing is very affordable.
Let me just change it to some place where I think there are some headwinds, and I'd ask you as the Secretary of Treasury to watch out, and that is in this tremendous drop in oil and gas prices, which I come from Colorado, so we're an energy-producing state. We've seen some layoffs. Now, I think our economy is strong enough to move forward through those layoffs, but there is, within the energy sector, a lot of concern. And, there are a number of ways to deal with it. I would ask that your agency, your department be, mindful of this, whether or not we may want to put some kind of a tariff and be protectionist for our local industry. I don't know, but I'll let you respond.
Without a doubt, if you look across the whole U.S. economy, lower energy prices have actually been a shot in the arm. it's been like a tax cut for most consumers and most businesses because everybody consumes and relatively few produce. Equally, undeniable is that there are pockets of the country where there's been a slowdown in economic activity as new rig activity has been slower.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask that the charts that I have be entered into the record.
Without objection, and the time of the gentleman has expired. The Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Stivers.